benefits of this stuff, but they're an amazing organization. If you want to kind of learn more about Grinchos, in the back there.
They have a farm in Peru. The coffee's directly from Peru. I've known his mom for ages, and you want to sponsor this event. So let's help him out. If you like the coffee too, he's got this gourmet stuff you can buy there and brew at home.
Okay, we've got lots of events. And one of the events we want to talk about is part of our human trafficking addresses. We're supporting our human trafficking champions from Love Never Fails, and they're doing a fundraiser. We want to hear about it and see if we can get our whole community to show up.
So one of the things about this, I'm back online. So can I say some words, Paul? Yeah. All right, welcome. So glad you're all here. One of the things about this event, I'll tell you what, I called it wrong. I thought November and December, because of the holidays, would be small. And instead, those were packed out. But we're so glad you guys are here, ready to start out 2026 right. But I want you to know that we're a community and envision a movement, and we bias towards action. So we feel the time where you come and eat. We love food. We love connecting. We love networking. But really, we believe this is the least important thing that we do. And the most important thing is people like Love Never Fails, as Madison's going to share, and these community things where we're out there getting our hands dirty, getting involved, playing basketball in prison, making a difference. So that's what this is all about. So Madison, share about what the amazing things Love Never Fails is doing this month.
Thank you. Oh, sorry. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Maddie Barton. I am the Special Events Manager at Love Never Fails. We are a Bay Area anti-trafficking organization. We support survivors in their communities with street outreach, housing, safe housing. We have 7 safe houses around the Bay Area. We have an IT Biz Tech Academy where we train survivors in workforce development. And we have a lot of fun events coming up throughout the year. But in honor of National Human Trafficking Prevention Month this January, we have a Warriors pre-performance. So we have a dance team of survivors. They are actually called the Praise Warriors, so it's very fitting. But they will be doing a performance at the Warriors game next Thursday. And we really need the community to come out here and support our organization, support our dancers, and also enjoy a good game. It's against the Knicks, so it'll be a great game. And when you purchase a ticket through this link here, a portion of your ticket will support Love Never Fails, and then you get a great game out of it. So we encourage you to come.
Guys, see the opportunity behind this. One, this is going to be life-changing for these survivors. Just that is worth it, okay? But like we have been courting the relationship with the Warriors and with the Valkyries. They really like us, and this is a first step. They need to sell a certain number of tickets, and then the Warriors want to see, are you going to be a good partner, which is, are you doing amazing work? Okay, they score an A+ in that, but do you also have the community? Can people come? Let's show out strong. Come and bring your friends. If you're going to go to one Warriors game, go to this one and invite all your friends. If you're not a basketball fan, the Warriors are awesome. Come anyways. It's going to be awesome. We want to show them strong support so that the Warriors want to continue sponsoring them, because they can really, really move the needle. And this partnership between the Warriors and Love Never Fails, I guess this is a match made in heaven. Like, they can really make a difference. So show up.
If you can't come to, you can also sponsor a survivor to attend. And this just allows, we need to sell 100 tickets. So it allows us to be able to give survivors a free experience to enjoy the game with us too. So if you can't
Teo,
come,
you want to go to
support.
this game? Yes, no? You're on the spot. Yes or no? Okay, we're down for 2 tickets. Okay.
That's awesome. Thank you. Go to center.
All right. I'm not with Love Never Fails, so I was waiting for this slide to change. But hi, everybody. My name is Noah Coombs, and I am a pastor here in San Francisco of Anchor Church. We meet out next to the zoo. We also have a program here called Urban Exchange. It's a love your neighbor movement, and basically our heart is to help to get out, partner with other organizations, and to get out and serve San Francisco in a variety of different ways. So we partner with Love Never Fails. We do anti-human trafficking. We go down the Tenderloin, hand out coffee and donuts. And this next Saturday, so that's January 17th, we are hosting and organizing. It's a Adopt Your School, Bret Hart Elementary. It's a serve day, and so we want to invite you to come out and get your hands in it and serve alongside us. Bret Hart Elementary School is more than a school. They are a resource center, and they do so much work for families and for kids that the teachers are just wiped out, and they have basically not the resources or the time to do a lot of the cleaning in their own classrooms. So we're going to come in and we're going to support them. We're going to clean desks and chairs, hallways, floors, cafeteria. And so we need your help. Right now we have about 40 to 50 people signed up, and we actually partner with Moonstar, and they offered free lunch. So just a testament of the community and the connections, partnerships that we've made here. So they're offering us free lunch. We have up to 80 spots available. So we'd love to have you come out. And if you haven't been a part of one of these events, I want to encourage you to do so. It's a great way to make connections, give back in a meaningful way, and make friends out of it. So
No, it's a great event. I've actually participated in the past, and they paint, they clean, they hammer. So if you've got any skills that can roll up your sleeves, they actually can use you. They move a lot of stuff here. So we've got some other events coming up here. I think, Ted, we've got some other events real quick. All right.
Madison,
Oh, yeah. here we
hustle
go.
up. Come on.
I didn't realize there was two, Madison.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we are also doing in honor of National Human Trafficking Prevention Month. We have a kind of mini film festival with Love Never Fails. We're calling it Stories of Freedom, and it's a bunch of short films that are showcasing survivor experiences or just creative projects that are starring survivors of human trafficking in it. So tickets are $25. It's going to be at the Chabot Theater in Castro Valley. And we are very excited about this event. There's going to be lots of activities around the actual 2 hours of film that you get to watch too. And we will have a panel discussion with the directors and some of the survivors starring in the film. So yeah, $25 to attend. It's going to be really great, and hope to see you there. Thanks.
Next, we get the Super Bowl. You want to talk about the Super Bowl breakfast?
Yeah, the Super Bowl's coming up. It's coming to the Bay Area. We are partnering with our friends Athletes in Action. And if you represent a business or this is an amazing breakfast. It's officially sponsored by the Super Bowl. Condoleezza Rice is going to be there. You can go to their website. It's an A+ lineup. This is an incredible opportunity to show up. Everyone loves the Super Bowl. If you have a nonprofit or if you have a business, it's a great opportunity for you to be associated, your brand to be associated with the Super Bowl. And they put on an incredible event about football and about making impact on the community. And they're going to have I think they have about 100 at-risk youth that they also bring into the Super Bowl breakfast, and they get to be exposed to that. And it's just amazing. I encourage you to go to this. This is one of the coolest events, other than being at the Super Bowl itself. This is one of the coolest events that's going to be happening around that.
You get a chance to see some of the folks you see on TV, some of the broadcasters that are out there supporting it. It's a great gathering of people who support the community. We're celebrating the Bart Starr Award. This is the NFL elected individual who has good character on and off the field in the community. It's awarded every year. They've been doing this for more than 10 years. It is a great event. And after this event, we're inviting all of the participants to walk over a few blocks, about a 10-minute walk over to the Tenderloin. Over in the Tenderloin after the breakfast, we actually have a food distribution event that's sponsored by Convoy of Hope. We'll bring the groceries down there, but we need the whole community to show up to help us with a distribution model. We're going to be using YWAM and Kent, minus the halo over here. Kent is going to help us in the organizing of this event so that we can both get the foods on pallets into bags and then distributed to individuals. Simultaneously, we'll be working with other churches. Glide Memorial is going to have their children's carnival event out there. We will have that whole block blocked off, so there won't be any traffic, but there'll be lots of churches, lots of communities. TLC, which is Tenderloin Connect, will be doing door-to-door delivery of the foods. So we got Manny back there that's been historically connected with it, and some of the other folks around here that have been doing that. So we'll activate all of the caretaking functions that usually happen on Sunday. We're going to do them a day early and invite everybody to come out and take a look at what they're doing, and maybe invite you to join us on one of those projects. So with that, we're running a little bit behind. We're going to try and play a little catch up.
Guys,
So- I'll let you introduce our
yes,
speakers.
I am so excited to have Dignify here. They're doing amazing stuff. But as we transition here, you know, as I share every time, I don't want you to just think when we go through these announcements, these are things that you can do that, you know, it fits into your schedule or not. Can you see the strategic nature of it? You know, Starbucks is everywhere, but it started out with one coffee shop. They modeled it first, and then they got investors involved and blew it up. That's what we're trying to do here. And I have a long-term vision. My vision is 50 years from now that when we go up to San Quentin to play basketball, which we do all the time, we're going up there tomorrow to hang out with the incarcerated brothers, that 50 years from now, when I go up there, there is no prison because mass incarceration is a thing of the past. And there is a museum because we, the same way we figured out how to solve all these problems and, you know, put a computer into your wrist that's smarter than any human chess player, that we've figured out how to solve the world's biggest problems. And we've figured out how to solve prison recidivism. So it goes down from 80% of the people who are locked up to the people who go in, get rehabilitated, and they come back and they're transformed and they're transforming their societies. I believe we can do it. That's what we're working for. So how is that for a setup to these young guys, Danny and Jay, who are doing an amazing job bringing a technological platform to scale innovative solutions to solve prison recidivism and to simplify the reentry population? So who am I handing it off to first? Jay? Jay's going to lead us through this here. Come on up and take it over.
Hi, good afternoon. It's so good to see everybody here present. I know that it's the new year, and I'm sure people are, you know, seeing their inboxes flooded, right, and seeing requests to do, you know, schedules to go here and there. But we really appreciate everybody that has carved out the time to be present today. And so I just want to say again, my name is Jay Kim. I'm the Partnerships Associate here at Dignify, and I just want to welcome everybody here again. You know I want to invite everyone here to be, to come with curiosity, to come with honesty, and with an open mind to see that what we have to talk about today. And so I know that we are a little bit pressed for time, so I kind of want to go through just a very quick and small exercise, if I may. And I know this might be, we're kind of going back into school maybe a little bit, but what I would like ideally is if we could try to form maybe just maybe like 4 to 5 small groups, if that's possible. If that is possible. I know there isn't many with us at this moment in time, but if it's somehow possible, if we could even group together, it could be 3 to 4, 4 to 5, around there. Yeah, you know, and it could just be maybe the people right beside you as well, just to making it easier. Yes. And I'll be coming along in just a second here, just to explain what's happening. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave each group a scenario, a situation, and I want everybody in the group to kind of read through it and see, you know, how would you tackle this? How would you go about this, right? What would be the first step, right? What would be the follow-up with something like this, right? A situation like this, right? So I'm gonna come around now. And it's gonna be random. So I'm gonna give one here. We have a couple groups. I will give one to Ken. Yeah. Maybe this could be like a group right here. And then we'll give another one here. And then we'll give another one here for this group right here. Yes. And then I guess we could, I mean, maybe you two, and maybe if 1 or 2 want to join. Yeah. And so what I would like is everyone to read the situation again, right?
So what do we do once we have this? What is the question?
Sorry, was I not clear about that? Okay, here, let me, sorry. Yeah, here. Sorry, if it wasn't clear, I just want to be clear again. The group is going to decide what do you tackle first and how. So I thought I made that a little bit clear. I apologize. What would we tackle first and how? We're going to give everybody maybe 1 or 2 more minutes. Okay, 1 more minute. 60 more seconds, please. Thank you. Okay. Okay, we're gonna have last comments here. Let's try to wrap this up. Okay. Okay, we're gonna bring our attention back. Thank you guys so much for participating in this. Maybe not every single person has to share, but I would love to hear what was the first step, what was overwhelming, right? What requires maybe some insider knowledge. If anyone would like to share, anybody? Yes, please. If you like to introduce yourself, just your first name and.
Hi, I'm Christy.
Okay.
And our group was talking about, one person was thinking about social media and just kind of getting a sense of what could be going on in their lives through that. Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, that's
Hello,
all
I
right.
got here
That's
just
all
a
right.
moment.
That's all
I'm
right.
still arriving.
That's all right.
Derek is motivated to reconnect with his kids after his release. He's not in contact with the mom of their children and doesn't have all of their personal contact info. He hasn't seen them in years.
Okay.
All right. Okay, here we go. So there was different discussion about being in touch with family members that they may have contact with,
Okay.
trying to just discover some things about the kid's situation. And again, looking at social media to learn a bit there, but ultimately involve writing some kind of letter that also conveys what things they've done in their lives that might earn some trust back and what their intention is.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. I appreciate that. Maybe someone else would like to share. Anybody else like to share maybe in the group? Okay, yeah, sure. If we can get a microphone back. Okay. All right, we'll do the corner. If you want someone to tell us your first name.
Next. Oh, okay. Well, who's standing? Okay, I thought you raised your hand. All right.
Yes.
So, our question was: upon release, Jose discovers he doesn't have a valid ID, social security card, or bank account. Without these, he can't apply for jobs, housing, or benefits, and replacing documents takes weeks or months.
Okay. And then what was the solution? What was the first step, or what maybe felt kind of overwhelming as a group? What did you guys talk about?
We first discussed because it's not clear what the person's legal status is. So first of all is to determine that, and then again, if they have legal status, then that's one path. And if they don't have legal standing, that's another path on being undocumented, perhaps. And then what kind of support groups are needed for both situations, or is there
Okay.
one group that can handle it all?
Right. So I heard support groups. Okay, that's great. Thank you. Is there maybe one more before we move forward?
So I'm Eric. Ours was after years of incarceration, Aisha struggles with anxiety, hypervigilance, and isolation. Therapy wait lists are long, transportation is limited, and she doesn't feel understood in traditional clinical settings.
My name is Jessica, and I'm answering this part of the question with our group's response as well.
Sure.
So we would apply the nursing process. You want to first assess the situation, what she wants, what her goals are, what her resources are, and what her priorities are, and what things help and hurt her anxiety. And
Mafami.
also stated that I wanted him to say his name, Afami.
Okay.
That we would, ask her about, whether she would want, a mentor or somebody in the community to help her out. Isn't that right?
Okay, so I heard a
Yep.
mentor, someone in the community.
Yeah.
Okay, thank
And then
you.
other, community resources too.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you. I think, like I said, I would love for all of us to share, but we're a little bit short on time, so I'm going to move forward. So the reason I wanted to do this exercise before we go into our next thing is what we're realizing is that reentry a lot of times is fragmented, right? There's a lot of things. There's a lot of holes and gaps when people come out and are trying to stabilize, right? And so before we go into our panel discussion, we're gonna have just a brief presentation, a brief keynote from our founder to kind of give the audience and the people in this room an understanding of who and what Dignify is. So if I can have Danny come forward, and we could please give a warm welcome to the founder of Dignify. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Jay. That was a great exercise. So I just want to start with a simple claim: reentry failure isn't accidental, right? It's actually designed into how the system operates. When somebody struggles after incarceration, we tend to frame it as a personal failure, right? A lack of effort, a lack of motivation. Oh, they just didn't want it, right? But the thing about reentry is it's not just one decision, it's not just one pathway, right? It's dozens of systems. It's healthcare, it's IDs and benefits, it's housing, right? It's workforce, it's all at once. They all have different rules, they all have different expectations, right? So success often depends on like insider knowledge, knowing who to call, knowing where to go, knowing what to do, and how to avoid like procedural mistakes that can derail everything. And the thing is, I know that not just from research, I know that from personal experience. Before I was incarcerated, I worked in tech. I had a college degree, I had family support, I had a career. I was the kind of person that these systems were actually designed for, right? But when I came home, the system didn't work. Despite all that privilege, it was all very confusing, humiliating, exhausting, terrifying, all at once. I was handed lists of resources, which I called all of them. None of them picked up. Went to their offices. They didn't exist, right? And that's when it became clear to me that if it was hard for me, not that I'm anybody special, but if it was hard for me with the support and education that I had, it must be nearly impossible for people that don't have that. So when we talk about reentry failure, I think we have to be honest. It's often procedural, not personal. So here's the gap that experience made impossible to ignore. So we fund services, we fund programs, right? But we don't fund the actual navigation of these services and programs. People are released into a system where services technically exist, but access is fragmented, eligibility is opaque, and the burden of figuring it all out falls on the individual, not the system itself. And that's why most people fall out early, right? It's not because they don't want help. It's not because they're not motivated. It's because the system wasn't designed to actually support them in the way that they need to be. And so that's why the exercises like the one we did resonate with me so personally. It's not about motivation. It's just about, have we really designed the correct system for individuals to support this cause? And that's the gap that we're here to address. So we're building infrastructure for dignity, starting with the Reentry Navigator that works through text and voice. It gives people one place to understand exactly what to do. It gives you eligibility rules. It tells you why these things matter, and it tells you what to do next. This is not a tool to replace human support or case managers. It's meant to augment them. It's a connective tissue, right? Helping people arrive at the right services informed, prepared, and with fewer dead ends. And critically, we build with providers that are in our network. We're making sure that we're building with them, not just around them. They're an essential part of this entire experience. And this only works if we really strengthen those connections between the entire community. So just to conclude here, I just want to say that I think this room, we're all full of like moral clarity. Like we all understand that this is what needs to happen. I think what we're lacking here is just the means, the mechanism to get that done, right? So like moral clarity without having infrastructure to support it, I think is somewhat useless. It doesn't do anything to actually change the outcomes. So what we're trying to do is take our lived experience, policy insight, and technology really is the glue to turn into something operational, right? Think about like a public system for reentry. So, we're not here for applause, and we're not actually here with the final answer, right? We're here to learn, we're here to build, and we're here to make sure that dignity is an important part of the entire process. So thank you for that. And so that's the infrastructure question. And before we talk about tools or pilots or policies, I think we need to talk about the reality of what it actually looks like. Because reentry isn't theoretical, right? It's not just something you read about or you do an exercise. Like this is happening every day. People are getting a release and entering these systems. And so what we want to do right now is kind of step out of the way and allow people with lived experience to talk about their own experience through that. So I want to invite the panelists, and then I'm going to hand it off to Jay to introduce.
Yes. Okay, great. Danny, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. And so we would like to begin our panel discussion, right? And so if we could invite the panelists forward, if we could have, yes, come. Thank you so much. Yeah, let's remove. You know what, Eddie, it's okay if you. No, actually, no, can we all move down? I thought I was gonna sit right here. That's all. Oh. Okay. Okay. Perfect. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Again, thank you again. Thank you again, Danny, so much for that introduction and for that keynote. So before we get into the discussion, I wanted to do just quick introductions for all of our panelists. Maybe everyone here is not completely aware of who is presenting today at this time, right? And so we wanted to just introduce, Ted Haas. He is a former professional athlete from Portugal and is a seasoned social entrepreneur who founded Innovate and co-founded Attention Live that utilizes tech and Web3 innovation to tackle the most challenging social issues. He also leads conversations on equity, justice, and community transformation as a host of the Innovate podcast, exploring innovative solutions to homelessness, addiction, human trafficking, and reentry. Next, we have Seth Sundberg. Seth is a former professional basketball player and is a leading expert in the real estate world. With his pro athlete background, Seth brings the same dedication and drive to real estate that he did to sports. As the founder and CEO of 7 Foot Solutions, Seth focuses on multi-family real estate. His strategies help clients achieve high returns and navigate the complexities of the market. After his own experience with the system, Seth created Prison Bars, a nutritional protein bar company that can be found across San Francisco. He is currently a pioneer in second chance employment and supporting those most vulnerable with industry standard work. Next, we have Eddie Zhang. Eddie Zhang is the founder and president of the New Breath Foundation, advancing justice for Asian American and Pacific Islander communities harmed by violence and the criminal and immigration systems. A former Soros Justice Fellow and Rosenberg Foundation Leading Edge Fellow, he co-founded Roots, which I was a participant of, the first ethnic studies program at San Quentin State Prison, and served as co-director of the Asian Prisoner Support Committee. Fluent in 3 languages, Eddie is a respected speaker, facilitator, and co-editor of Other and Asian and Pacific Islander Prisoners Anthology. His leadership has earned national recognition, including the Frederick Douglass 200 Award, and is featured in the award-winning documentary, Breathing, the Eddie Zhang Story. And last but not least, we have Danny Yoon. He is a UC Berkeley graduate with over a decade of experience in data, search, and technology leadership. His experience spans from Instacart, Apartmentless, and other tech startups. As a systems impacted tech innovator and alumnus from CROP, his work is shaped by both personal experience and professional expertise. Danny is committed to building transformative, human-centered technology that supports people returning home from incarceration. So can we just give a warm round of applause for our panelists, please? Thank you. Great. So again, let's get the conversation going, right? Let's get the conversation going. So the setup for this panel, I wanted to ask general questions, right, for all the panelists to be able to answer. And I definitely have some curated questions that are specifically tailored for each panelist as well. So I kind of want to just get the conversation going. And I want to ask everybody here, when people talk about reentry, what do they usually get wrong? And what part of the experience is almost never discussed? If anyone would like to take a stab at that,
Yeah, I'll start up. I think not a lot of people think about just the dignity of it all, right? Just what you've kind of lost. I mean, people think about the things you've lost in your incarceration, time, maybe family connections, maybe some job opportunities. But it's really just a feeling of being like a human, right? Just feeling like you belong in society. I think even the term reentry is kind of interesting because reentry implies that we're like outside of society, right? We're coming back in, but we're actually a part of society, right? Economies, people are making money from prisons. You can visit, you can send things, right? We're in the society, but it's definitely a feeling of feeling left out, feeling like you just don't belong anywhere.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's not talked about enough. I think that's more important than services.
Thank you. Thank you. No, I really like what you said about feeling left out. And I feel like you could feel left out in so many systems that are available for us, right? That maybe have marginalized people in a sense. So thank you. Would anyone else maybe have to
Yeah, I can
share?
jump in. Hey, everybody. Seth, thanks for being here today. This is great. Thanks for putting this on, guys, for sure. I'll tell you kind of my things. I have two things really, but before that, I want to just kind of give a little bit more in the intro that, I played professional basketball, played for the Lakers for a while, played most of my career overseas. When I got done, got into real estate, which is what you heard there, at a good time in the market, and did really well, made more money in real estate than I did playing basketball even, and got more arrogant than I was even playing basketball. And so I figured I'd take on the IRS, and I did, and I lost, and I spent 5 years in federal prison from 2009 to 2014. So, I think that's an important part to frame in this conversation. Since I got out in 2014, like Danny, lost everything in the process, had to start from zero, wasn't even sure how to really, navigate the world or anything like that. And it's a building process, right? And, I'm proud of the stuff that 7 Foot Solutions and the things that we've done over the years, and I just wanted to, give that kind of context as well. So one of the, to answer Jay's questions. So there's two things that are really kind of there. One is an assumption that there is a process for reentry. From a general standpoint, there is no process. Okay, so you can wipe that assumption. Oh, there's a standard way to do it. Yada yada yada. There is no standard in this reentry system. So that's one. From a more granular standpoint, one of the things that I had to do getting back, 5 years is a long time, short time, whatever. It's all relative there. But one of the things you don't realize that you're not doing, while you're in prison is spending money, right? You're getting charged for things. You have to ask for money on your books, and you're working a job for 12 cents an hour or whatever it is, right? So there's some of that flow, but you're not taking actual money out of your pocket and exchanging it for goods and services. So when I got out, actually, I was at a halfway house. So you got to figure out, all right, you got to get hygiene, you got to buy these things. And I had forgotten how to spend money. I've forgotten to say, hey, here's the stuff. Remember to say, smile at the person, behind the counter, say thank you, give them the money, wait for your change, this whole thing. So it's stuff like that. And like Danny, I had done some things in the past that, the society would say are pretty substantial. And I don't think I'm a dummy. It's questionable, depending on who you ask, but those things you just forget. You're just out of touch, right? Cell phones were a totally different animal, getting out, things of that nature. So I think those two things from a macro and a micro standpoint are important to note.
Okay. Wow, thank you so much for that response. Thank you. I think it's really important that you highlighted that there is no actual system, right? There's no pamphlet, there's no seminar, there's no workshop you can attend to be like, hey, this is what you went through and this is what you can do to kind of empower yourself, right? There, nothing exists in that sense, right? So thank you for highlighting that. Yes. So we're gonna, yes.
I'd go one step further. I mean, my experience is I've never been incarcerated, but I've been in and out of prison the last 18 years playing basketball in San Quentin. So, so many of my friends and our community, to me, the biggest thing about like reentry in the general society is not only is there no process, I would say in the general society, there's not even any awareness. Like, it's like, you talk about reentry, it's like reentry from what? And of course, it depends on what demographic you're talking to. Like if I'm in the faith community, if I'm in a white church, there's just like no awareness. Like you have to start out at basic zero. Completely different if you're in a Black or minority church, completely different. But like just that there are people in prison, there's a whole bunch of them and they all get out regularly and they have to re-enter. Like there isn't even awareness of it.
A statistic that's maybe not well known that I'll share based on Ted's point is 95% of the people that are currently incarcerated will be released back into the world. So only 5% are never coming back.
And I think with that, right, the question is, I always frame it as these are future community members, right? These are our future neighbors eventually at some point, right? And so, the question is, if they're going to be joining our neighborhoods and our communities eventually at some point, right? What is the support? What is the community support? What is the ecosystem? What infrastructure is available to support people that are going to eventually be a part of the community, right? So thank you for highlighting that.
650,000 people re-enter from jails and prisons every year.
Right. So thank you for highlighting that. So we're going to move on. We're going to move on to the next question. We're going to ask the panel. What's one policy or practice that may feel normal or that is standard, but is actually harmful and is actually affecting people negatively in the reentry background? So again, what's one policy or practice that might feel normal or standard, but is actually harmful to the reentry population, to the justice impact community? If anybody has any, I can chime in as well. If I can chime in as well,
Well, happy new birth, everyone. Eddie Zhang, you see him pronounce. I want to invite all of you just taking a deep breath. And this breath is for the people that who was the steward of this land, the Native Americans. Right? Let's take in another deep breath. And this breath is for the people who can't breathe. Let's take in another deep breath. This breath is for all of us, right, who is alive and free. Right, we're here. So for me, one of the policy, out of many policies that really contribute to the prison industry complex and contribute to the high rate of recidivism is the parole system. Right, the parole system is setting people up for failure so they can continue to monopolize and exploit the bodies of the people who are impacted by, incarceration and systemic violence. And so I think that's one of the big challenges, is how we're going to get rid of the parole system, right? Because people serve their time. They serve their time as they're supposed to, according to the law, but yet they have a system in place where after you serve your time, if you don't follow the rules and regulations that set forth, then you can go back into prison system. And then you can continue to be a part of that system, the revolving door of that system. all at the same time, there are hundreds and hundreds of barriers to prevent people from being successful once they return to their family members and to our community. Right, so that's one of the policy. But I do also want to share a little bit about, the reentry, right? Reentry is supposed to be started at the time of engagement with the law enforcement, not after you've been in prison or before you get out of prison. That's how reentry should start. It's at the beginning. And then one of the things about post-incarceration, we talk about reentry, is that people don't necessarily understand that reentry is different for everybody, right? It's not like a stroke, it's just like it applies to everybody. You have to understand there's need for cultural competency, there's need for cultural humility, there's need for addressing the people and validating people of their lived experiences. That's how we are able to engage in a successful reentry with people.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I think vulnerability and honesty is really important when we have discussions like this. So thank you for highlighting that, because as someone who's justice impacted, I'm actually currently on parole now as we speak. Right, I have an agent that I have to meet at some point this month, right, to check in with me, right, to make sure that I'm following their conditions, right, and to say, have they been supportive? Have they been really looking out for my best interest? I can confidently disagree. And if anything, it's almost betted against me to come back, right? So thank you for really highlighting the truth behind that process, right, with these agencies. So thank you.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Quiros, and I'm the co-founder of Redemption House of the Bay Area. It's an organization that serves survivors in Sonoma County and Bay Area. My apologies for being late. When I GPSed the address, it took me to a different location. So my apologies. I just want to piggyback on what you both are saying, that it's super important to be a part of the reentry process. And so in my experience, when I was on parole and probation, a lot of the parole officers and probation officers I had were not part of my success. There was literally just one that actually did something different, and that's what changed my trajectory of not continuing the path of being incarcerated. So it's super important to be a part of the process. Like, even when we're incarcerated, being with us on that journey to help us develop the tools that we don't repeat the cycles. And then when we come home, continuing that process of our success of not re-entering back into incarceration. It's super important.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's a great point, Elizabeth. I just to add that one thing that and Jay, this may help you and anybody that's on probation. So when I got out, I was like, it is clearly they may have best interest, but the system is structured in a way that, if you have returning customers, right, it's easier to sell to the current customers than find new customers, right? So one of the things is the financial benefits and things of recidivism, but the way that I worked it was I showed up, and it's federal probation, right? So it's different than state probation, but I showed up to their office more than they wanted me to. My goal was to say, hey, Seth, thanks for coming in. Don't come in unless we're calling you. And it finally did get to that point. And then it was kind of like, okay, great. So it felt like, you have some control over the situation at that point. And it's just an interesting kind of flip on, people going through probation. So.
And I want to piggyback on something you said. It's important. We don't want to demonize anybody here. And the parole officers, mine has been always third, hand. It's my friends who are connected with them. It's not that they're bad people. And if we demonize the people, it's just going to be the same cycle. What we have to see is the system, and it's the system that needs to be need to be reformed. Yeah. What I have found from the parole officers is they're just overwhelmed. They have too many people, and then the system is set up for failure. But on the flip side of it, one of the problems that highlighted and everyone saw, and it was an assumption whether when we did the exercise early on, is community. Like, imagine you're all alone. What we've had and what I've been spoiled to be able to see is I get to see a subset. All my friends are part of the basketball program, and many, many of them have gotten out. And I can tell you, in our community, we've solved prison recidivism, because in our community, very, very few, it's probably less than 1% that we know of who have ever returned. Like, we only know of one guy who's been part of our community who's ever gone back on a repeat offense. So something is happening there. The antidote to recidivism is community and healthy community. And I would say that's probably, you know, in a bigger sense, even the antidote to crime. If you have a healthy community, you're going to have healthy people, and it's going to bring the percentage down. And if you have a healthy community, you can turn your life around. That's how they turn around inside. And then you have a community that we can all help each other when they come out.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. I think the community part of it, at least in my eyes, touches upon like the dignity of it, right? When you feel like you belong again, when you feel like you have people who care about you, it totally changes how you look at yourself. Now, I want to answer that question too. I think that is definitely a great answer to that question. But I think one more like policy or practice, right, is the lack of data collection. What kinds of data that we're actually tracking, right? Right now, like probation, for example, parole. Their systems only care about like if they've sent somebody a referral, not if that referral was successful, just if they sent it. If somebody, you know, like successfully got off of parole, you know, whatever that means. Like, these are not horrible metrics, but they're not really getting at like what success really looks like. What are the outcomes really looking like? And I don't know, you guys might be surprised to figure out we don't track any of that. We're in a technological age, right?
By
data.
We, you mean we as a
We as a society,
California
California
CDCR,
particularly,
yes.
right? I mean, this is the tech nirvana that we're living in, and we don't track data for your taxpayer dollars that are funding these, right? Like, we have no idea what's going on. So services like the ones that I told you I've called that didn't pick up, they continue to exist year after year. We have no idea what's working, right? And I will take a step further and say that the kind of data we need to track is not exactly just like metrics, like cold data like that, but like, what if we can understand if somebody actually feels fulfilled or feels dignity through this? I know this is kind of an abstract term, but like, there are proxies to measure that. And so, like, you know, I think it's just about thinking about what are we actually measuring, because that's the only way you can build toward, you know, successful outcomes.
Thank you. Yes.
Jay, just one point to your original question, and you know, you said what feels normal, right? But is really kind of and you know, hurting the process more than anything. And I think a big thing that people don't conceptually understand, and I've been in the space now 11 years, and you know, seen what's going on, and met just the most amazing people, right, with the biggest hearts that have, you know, just a like full presence and an intensity to solve this problem, that are working in a silo, that are doing a great thing for this piece. And there's no hub of organization to where you can say, hey, I need A, B, C, and D. Great, go to this spot. You got to go try and find A, B, C, and D separately. And like Danny's experience, you know, they're probably not picking up the phone, or there's something because they haven't been vetted, or whatever the case may be. So it's all these people doing amazing stuff, but doing it in their own lane without you know, kind of the corroboration and collaboration that I think is required to solve this problem fully.
Thank you so much. Thank you. You know, and like I said, like everyone was saying, right? It takes community support, right? And I keep some themes I'm hearing is you know, accountability, and like I said, an ecosystem that's created where it's just not one service or one resource, but it's all intersects with each other, right? That helps, you know, support that process. So thank you. And so next, I kind of want to start maybe asking some specific questions, if that's all right. And I would love panelists to also kind of, you know, come in and answer as well, right? But I want to start directing some questions specifically for some people, right, with their lived experience, their knowledge, and their expertise. So the first is going to be for Elizabeth, right? And so, you know, I wanted to ask, so your journey includes surviving trauma, incarceration, and how championing healing and reentry support through the Redemption House.
Yeah.
What aspects of your own reentry experience informed you in how you design services and community for other survivors today?
So my experiences with reentry was community, was because I had individuals when I was incarcerated that actually took the time to get to know me and not look at me as a number and not look at me as a criminal. And so there was Captain Corpus. She was Captain Corpus at the time, Christina Corpus. There was also a brother Marty that was a pastor at the time, that would actually pull me out of my cell and build relationship with me and tell me that I had more potential than what I was doing at that moment. and that they see more good in me. And so when people were planting those seeds of hope in my life, it gave me hope to do something different. Like, okay, I can see myself beyond addiction. I can see myself beyond being a criminal. I can see myself beyond being, at that time, I looked at myself as a prostitute, but in reality, I was a victim of human trafficking. And I didn't know that. But I was able to see myself beyond those stigmas and those labels. And so because of that hope that was transpired in my life and the people that build relationship, I was able to take that approach and implement that in Redemption House. So that's what we do with the survivors. And that's what I do with everyone I come across in my job. I help people and I inspire them. I give them hope and I believe in them so they can start believing in themselves to reach their goals.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I know, can we give a, so thank you so much because I know that's not easy to share, right? And I just want everyone to understand that we're not here to try to revisit trauma. We're not here to try to, we're speaking on, what is working now and what is going to work later, right? We're not trying to, create, not create, but go back to these stories and, relive this, right? So thank you so much for sharing that and applying that to the work that you're actively doing now, right?
Yes.
So thank you.
Thank you.
And so I'm going to move on along for Eddie. So I have a question for you, Eddie. And this question is, reflecting on your personal transformation, right, and decades of advocacy, what structural barriers within the criminal legal and immigration systems still most blindside and hurt people? And maybe it's a two-pronged question. And what bold changes do you believe are essential for a truly equitable reentry ecosystem?
Yeah, well, I mean, to answer that question, I just want to reference that, 40 years and 2 days ago, I committed a harm to my direct victims along with to my friends in San Francisco. I was charged as an adult at age 16 and sentenced to life in prison with a possibility of parole. I ended up spending 19 years in the state prisons, and the day of my release, ICE, the Department of Homeland Security with Immigration Customs Enforcement came to the prison and took me for detention and deportation because I was not a citizen of the United States, right? So there's this experience of the double punishment, right? Because of the policy. And then we talk about, we want to hold individual accountable for the harm that they committed. But then the system never hold itself accountable for the harm it perpetuated that created, right, the prison industry complex. Absolutely, I have to take responsibility for my actions, and the people who inflicted harm have to take responsibility for their actions. But I think it's not either or, right? It's both and. And so one of the worst thing the system can do is to continue to create policies that perpetuates anti-Blackness. I mean, that's what it is, right? So if you look at the history of the penal system post-slavery, right, after the Emancipation and Proclamation, that's what it is. That's the replacement. The prison industry complex has become a replacement of the cotton fields. But now we have the modern day slave plantation across the country. The fact that we're still the #1 country that incarcerate more people than any other country is a reality. So we have to really look at the system and try to understand, like, how are we going to be able to prevent people from continue to feeding into this revolving door? And I have to agree, it's up to the people. Right? It's up to the people to be able to be aware, to learn, and to understand, like, what is better, to disappear more people or to heal people, to allow people opportunity to be able to have the same rights and equal treatments to thrive, and not discriminate them based on the color of their skin. So I think that's something that I feel we have to engage in the process, and that's why we're here sharing this space with all of you, is to share stories, share solutions, and share ideas.
Thank you so much for that answer. Thank you. We're going to just move along here. and we're going to ask. Sure, absolutely. My next question is actually for Danny, and the question is, given that many returning citizens struggle with, like we did in our exercise, right, with access to IDs, housing, employment, and benefits, what partnerships between tech service providers and policymakers are most urgent to ensure people aren't derailed early in the process?
That's a good question. I mean, if you're asking me to choose one, I think it's impossible. I think everybody needs to be involved in this. It's policymakers, it's providers, it's people. It's just too complex of a problem, right? There's so many things that you need to take care of in such a short amount of time. And we can't do that without efficient communication, efficient coordination, and just working together, right? And so if even one part of that puzzle doesn't exist, this whole thing falls apart. So I'm just gonna say, like, we need everybody in the same room. Yeah.
If I could respond to that, and I think this can transition to the questions. If there was one thing that I would see we need to do is move beyond blaming whatever group it is, whether we're blaming the criminals, the so-called criminals, or our certain class of criminals who are bad, or blaming another political party, or blaming the system or anyone. We need to move beyond blaming. And it's not to say that people don't deserve blame, okay? But we've got to move beyond that to taking responsibility. And I think if we do that, we can shift. Like, you can make another political argument, which excites me, is that we are just wasting money, man. We're spending $100,000 plus to incarcerate an individual for 1 year, and what we get out of that is an 80% fail rate. Like, let's just make a very conservative fiscal analysis. And then we can make another argument, like, we need employees. Let's stop seeing these people. And I'm spoiled because I get to see some of my deepest, most moving relationships. Like, I go into prison, and I'm sure we mentor some of the guys in there. We certainly do. I see it happen. I get mentored by the guys who are in prison, who are changing my life and changing all of our lives. These are amazing people that can become incredible leaders. And if we can shift from blaming to taking responsibility, and we can all, I mean, the fact that you're here, the fact that we're having this dialogue, the fact that we're live streaming it, that it's on the record, that it's out there, that we're united, we're not divided, we're not fighting, that makes a difference. And if we take responsibility, now we can see the opportunity and we can solve it.
Well, I really wish we had more time, but unfortunately, that'll be it for the panel discussion. Panel discussion, and we're going to open up the floor now to Q&A. If anybody in the audience has any questions that they would like to ask any of the panelists.
Once again, a very enlightening presentation. Your discussion really couldn't help but bring images of Shawshank Redemption, the movie, to mind. And at the end of the movie, as you remember, you have the character Red, who is paroled, and he is re-entering society, but it's really not re-entering into anything at all. He's in this void. He's assigned a job that has no really deeper purpose. And I just feel like that movie really encapsulates this loss of identity or purpose, a meaning in life, and then a sense of belonging to a community that a lot of men need, especially men. Women, I feel like they have a greater kind of connectedness to one another. But when men get into society, it's already a very atomized society to begin with. So they don't have brothers, they don't have mentors that will invest in their life. And so as you're speaking, it made me personally think, wow, there's already a cultural problem here with men in our society where everyone's kind of very, very much into their own game, into their own lives. And I've been to other countries where it's very different. Men are brothers and they call each other by brothers. But in the US in particular, it's very atomized and lonely for men, especially as they get older. And so when they come re-enter into society, there's no purpose or a place in which they can find purpose. And then And then belonging to a community of men that will be friends in a deeper way is so hard to find. So do you find that that's true? I mean, I feel like that's really even true not only with incarcerated men, but men who are coming back from military service. They come back with mental harm, PTSD, but there's nowhere for them to get healing with brothers. And that disconnectedness seems so much a bigger story than just with incarceration and reentry. How would you respond to that?
You know, I know I'm the moderator, so maybe I got to keep my answers sparse here. But I would like to answer that because I've been out a year now, and my conditions say that I cannot have contact with other people who are on parole, or depending on like their specific crimes. And it's interesting, right? Because when you're inside, I was inside San Quentin, and there is so much programming in the inside, right? And you really build community with these people. Like these are like my brothers. Like I've been back twice, and these are people that I can consider like my friends. And so to come back out and see a lot of them come out, when they do, right? And for parole to say you can have no contact with these people, it's like I'm being siloed, I'm being fragmented. So yeah, yes.
Just to add on to that real quick, it's a great point that you bring up, and it goes back to the community piece that we were talking about, right? And there are a ton and just amazing, organizations that are helping to build that community. Actually, is there anybody here that's from an MPO or working in reentry or any nonprofits? I know a couple. Yep. Yeah. Thank you guys for everything that you're doing. It's a thankless.
Yeah, let's give it up.
At times it's a thankless thing, but the impact is less data driven, but is way more than you can ever imagine. It's saving lives, and that's the type of work that you're doing. So thank you for that. And I think supporting those communities, knowing about them at first, being involved with them, and having support. Like Ted's saying, basketball brings people together, right? And you're looking out for people. I have friends, that I met inside that I would trust with my daughter. If something happens to me, one of my best friends is a guy that I met, while I was down, and he's taking care of my daughter, right? Type of thing. So, that community is critical and important. And then how do we, fluctuate and adjust the system to support success, right?
Yeah, and then, so I love that point, because I think you're right. It's not just a military problem. It's not just a prison problem. It's a man problem. I think that, at least in my experience, there's kind of two paths that you kind of harden into. And one of them is, like you described, right? So like the prison experience, the incarcerated experience is very toxic, male toxicity, right? It's rampant, right? That's kind of the whole deal. So I see a lot of people either go solidify down that path, but actually I see a lot of people, including myself, who go down actually more of an emotional intelligence path. There's like so much curriculum that's actually available to kind of teach you about, your feelings and your emotions, and how to process that, how to think about others people's feelings and emotions, what kind of effect you're having. So I think the pathways exist, the motivation exists. I think what ends up happening for at least somebody in the incarcerated space coming out is they look at the world and this challenge, this fear ahead of them, and they have kind of two options again. It's like either you open yourself to these opportunities and put yourself out there, or you harden yourself because you're scared. And so I think the question really is like, how are we supporting the people who want to open up, right? I think going back to the example that I was talking about, like imagine you're somebody who's vulnerable, who doesn't know where to go, doesn't know what to do next. You go to an organization and they're closed, or they're like rude to you on the phone, they hang up on you, right? I mean, like that's the most vulnerable part of your life. And if you're being turned down, that could just harden you more. Like I tried that, it didn't work for me. I'm gonna stick to what I know. So we got to create a system that's going to allow for when people are at that moment looking for change, that we got to open our arms and accept them, right? So I think it just comes back to the system issue.
Thank you so much, Danny. Thank you. Yes, another question.
I know that this is kind of a bigger issue than we can probably even get a little bite of today, but mental health is really a significant issue, and the prison system is really basically a warehouse for people who have emotional and mental health issues. And we tried to address it through, I think, Prop 35 in California, through through at least dealing with substance abuse, but the tides have turned against that, and they just kind of repeal a lot of what Prop 35 was trying to accomplish. So I just wondered what your thoughts are on mental health, and the other aspect of it that I wanted to mention is that if you're not an incarcerated person, just trying to get the mental health services that you need is tough. I mean, nearly impossible. Even if you're fully engaged, it's a struggle.
Can I say something? Yes.
And we got one more question too after that, so we got to wrap it up here, but go ahead and answer that one and we'll go to the question.
Yeah, so a lot of the times mental health plays a huge factor, and that's why individuals tend to use is to cope through that mental health. And so a lot of the times people, when they have mental health and then it's co-occurring disorders, right? And they're using. And then that's how those behaviors develop, and that's how crimes are committed. So it's kind of like getting the mental health addressed. If we're able to have those resources while they're incarcerated to get the mental health addressed, if that's with therapy, if that's just with coping skills, if that's with medication, getting all that addressed while they're incarcerated. So when they come out, they're able to have that mental health aspect addressed. And then that's where then the substance use can be addressed, and then the other behaviors can be addressed as well.
Yeah, if I can just add real quick onto that. So one of the things that, we're in San Francisco, right? We're talking about technology. We're in that space, right? And, we consult for numerous tech companies and Y Combinator companies and one of the largest telecommunications companies inside prisons right now. And this is actually one of the tablets that incarcerated adults get to use in the state of California and state facilities. They're working on getting them into the federal systems. But there's a lot of opportunity, tying it back to mental health, of technology and improving that mental health, getting, proper counseling, getting, professional training. There's a staff inside prison that, again, most of them are great folks trying to do their best, really trying to make a difference. They're just overwhelmed. It's like the probation department, and there's not enough actual help. It's hey, let's sedate these people, or whatever the case may be. Let's go to the path of least resistance rather than solving the core issues. And technology is one of the ways that we can improve that for sure.
Thank you so much. Thank you. You said there
Right
was
here. Yeah.
Yes.
First of all, fantastic. Just, you all are exceptional. When I think about the amount of wisdom and experience and care and capability on this panel right here, and I'm just feeling impassioned that instead of just 28 people in the room, we ought to have a room of 2,800 that are hearing this. And so, yeah, clap for these guys. But yeah, and so it just has me thinking, how do we get more people to actually hear and act on the things you're talking about? And so if you just a headline in different spheres, like what comes to mind is like some of the main thing that someone in government, someone in corporate leadership, someone in NGOs, like we want to take action. What might be something in those arenas?
You're looking for headlines?
Yeah, like
Calls to action.
what are the calls to action? What would start moving this forward? We know that's like, quote, the system, et cetera, but what would be some inroads if I'm leading a company, or if I'm in an NGO space or a government space?
If you're leading a company, call one of these people in, build a relationship with them, help them start educating you. The myth out there is that hiring a formerly incarcerated person is a risk. Hiring anyone's a risk. The data shows that a formerly incarcerated person, we're talking about the data, the objective data is they make better employees than the general population. Okay, so if you're an employer, break down that myth. Now, don't just go out and hire them. Hire someone who's got lived experience, partner with them, and they'll show you and lead the way. If you're a faith leader, the call to action is invite someone from here to come speak at your church and educate your community on what to do. Okay, to become aware of this issue. The faith community can do so much to be a catalyst. Who else are we calling out? If you're in this meeting and you want to see 28, you're burning with passion and saying all of San Francisco needs to see this, share the live stream, tell them to come and come back on the 20th. To be honest, I want to see 28 28,000 people in here. I would rather have 300 that are committed to actually work together. I'd rather have 30 people that are committed to build a core to go do it. Well, then we'll get the 3,000, we'll get the 30,000, we'll get the 3 million. I'm more concerned. So I'm inviting you all to go beyond just showing up to say, no, I'm part of this community. I'm going to be here. I'm going to make it happen. Okay. Other calls to action, a policymaker, listen to the lived experience experts. And in fact, we'll have to do this maybe in April. We'll talk about policy influence. One of the coolest things is what Elizabeth and Love Never Fails and the survivors of human trafficking are doing to influence policy, to change stupid laws, annul those and make smart laws. A lot of policy is making. So my call to action to a policymaker is to reach out to the lived experience experts and the frontline experts, the voices you wouldn't otherwise hear, and actually listen to them and get out of your ivory tower of your donors only and special interest groups. All right. Is it a good call to action?
That's a good call to action.
And then our last slide is come back February 20th. We talked about reentry. We're going to go back and it's prevention, justice for all. You all know Adrian and Open Door Legal, and we have some very, very exciting news. You're going to want to come back, and our panel on February 20th is going to be about prevention. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, and it is monumental. You all want to come. You want to bring your communities. What Adrian is doing, everybody needs to know about. So come back on February 20th. Let's pack this place out, and we'll have either lovely pulled pork or whatever. Okay. We're setting the tables for you. Come and fill this place up. Okay.
So quick 2 reminders. So we've got the next gathering on the 20th. On February 7th, we've got a community event after the Super Bowl breakfast. If you want to join us in the Tenderloin around 11 o'clock, we're doing a food distribution, kind of celebrating the community. Our coffee vendor, someone has graciously sponsored a dozen bags. If you're interested in taking some of the coffee home, they
Free coffee.
Free coffee. Grab a bag, go home. They're out there. And we do want to remind everybody that part of having these meetings is really solving our homeless issues and our at-risk issues. Part of it is we're always caring for the people that are stuck in the systems. How do we get people there? We're really trying to address it and kind of look at ways we can invest in people's lives before there are issues that become critical for us, life and death issues. So this is part of our education and our holistic approach to take a continuum of care model, and we fit in all of the incredible stories and all of the caretaking that takes place. And thank you folks on the Justice Involved community that are helping in that process. So join us again next week, and thank you, panel, for coming down here.
Of course.
Ooh, thank you all.
By the way, when I was lucky to get the mic, I did see a hand. So if you get
Or
the
call to
chance
action if you're a philanthropist. These are amazing organizations. Dignify is a nonprofit. And if you're an investor, talk to Danny. Mufami wants to make a clarity. A generous donor has actually purchased 12 bags of coffee that you get to take home, and they've already paid for them. You get to take some of that gourmet coffee beans home in bags. So the first 12 people there get it. I guess it's 10 now, okay?
We give you like a receipt? No? You don't want to, you don't need a text? Okay, so then I have it tested on the whatever, they come back and say it's great. Can I just contact you or contact
No,
them
you
directly?
contact me and then I'll put them in
Got
contact
it.
with you.
Oh, hey, no, I'll let you know. Oh.
He's got a family issue.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm buffering him so that he doesn't have to leave his family. I know this is what he would do.
Okay, good. All right, no.
All right.
I'll let you know
know.
how it tests, and then I'll get another 9. We're good to go.
Perfect.
I'll see you on Tuesday.
Okay, thanks, guys. Thank you. Oh, that goes
What about yours?
Whew. Wow.
I had to drive.
I know. I got started at 6 this morning because my daughter's working right over there.
What did she end up getting a job in?
It's an AI company that kind of looks at startups and the investors are putting money in. Like, when is the next time you're speaking next? What are the milestones for tracks progress?
Okay.
So it's kind of a
Okay, good.
there was 200 interviews and
200 interviews.
she was the very first interview. And we came full circle. So, you know, our very first interview What's that? Yeah, she was working on the other side. I dropped her off. I said, hey, you don't have to do this today. I'll drive it. She got to be there at 8.
Did you get your gig? Convoy? Okay, congratulations. So you're full time on it.
Full time, commitment wise, revenue wise.
Oh, no.
I'm 20% underneath the poverty line. So, I just changed. It was a job. It was budgeted for a Springfield, Missouri individual.
Okay.
And so they're reshuffling everything. The goal that the group I was going to be within, they're dissolving that group. The only open spot is take it or leave it.
And it's Springfield cash, but that's in their mind, it's a full time.
It's the budget is for next year. With all the budgets and the changes, the only thing
Are you going to be able to do it full time, given all the other stuff that you do? I mean, I'm just curious.
Yeah. But I think they've got a goal. I can hit that goal, but I don't think that's that hard for me to hit that goal. Once I hit that goal,
Is it fundraising goals?
it's a food situation.
Okay, all right.
So they're about 40%. The market has changed the reason and why and how people donate, and most of the folks. What we need you to do is commit to Convoy off your factory line. Then a percentage of your factory line that's producing for us is all tax deductible. Your employees that are involved are all tax deductible, the lights, everything. Plus the
Food sales. Okay, well, that's cool.
You can tell the employees, hey,
And then your thing is national. Okay, so are they going to fund your travel appropriately? Okay. Okay, well, congratulations.
It's good. Yeah, so like
that's nice.
Have another deal. So they don't care about this kind of stuff. What, this is okay for them.
Yeah, because this could be very complimentary.
So it's always that building up the network.
As compared to before you had love.
Form a partnership with Convoy, but they only want to work with me. And so they're like, no, we want you to do that. I said, well, it's food production.
So, well, like part of it.
It's a year vetting process, and then like the job I was looking for, it's not there, and everybody's
Yeah, I'm like going, it is like conceptually, it's a really good thing.
We went through the whole vetting process for a year, only to find out that the position was available.
Yeah. And then that's just loosey-goosey kind of stuff. It's like, I just have to ask the question. Do you really like it? Because you got to feel good about the work. Yeah, one thing I will say, I need jobs, but the reality is I'm more and more connected to the Salvation Army. Okay, like, so I know these people like majors and stuff like that. And then they are, and they pay. Okay, so they're not paying me. Okay, but the fact of the matter is, all of our volunteers on the next level. We're getting a team from Harvard to come in and take a look at this stuff, and like we're here. I mean, it seems like it's a well-run organization in San Francisco, and they have some dynamic people that are engaged over there that are a piece of work, but they're a good piece of work.
So we're national partner with Salvation Army.
Yeah.
In the state of California, Office of Emergency Services, and it's myself and Salvation Army negotiating on how the church should be engaged. We're actually articulating that. I just told they'll be the benefactor, but their strategy was flawed. Well, could you write up how you could do it? So I already did that. You could read it.
Yeah. I always tell everybody. Okay, listen to the text. Nobody reads it. Okay, so you can do this just to say we did it, that nobody actually reads this. I just always remember.
Because this is good. Oh, by the way, we need to partner with Salvation Army and the Catholic Church. So, if we want to meet with the bishops, I said, no, you don't. And he goes, what do you mean? I go, did you reach out to one of the bishops? He goes, yeah, the archbishop. And I said, great, what did he say? Is he busy? He goes, exactly. And I said, do you know who his right-hand person is? He goes, no. And I said, it's a young kid who's taking a job at a very low salary, but doing some amazing work. And I said, that guy is your window to the bishop. And I said, guess who's mentoring bishop? I said, I have calls with 3 of the outreach strategy folks in the Catholic Church that are all allowing me to mentor them. For your help. And I said, so we'll get to the bishop, but you got to follow my lead. We serve the community first, and then you get them connected to Protestant churches and tell them we're not doing this Catholic only. I said we do this as a community of faith. The Church of San Francisco, not the Catholic Church of San Francisco. It's all the churches together. We have one voice, and we serve the needs of the city. We don't serve the needs of our denominations. And I said, so I'll tell the bishop.
How's that go?
I said, it's going great. But I said, you need to pivot going into the conversation. They're not here to serve you. You're not here to serve them. You're both here to serve the city.
Yeah.
And I said, if you can't get that in the back of your head, that if you're not serving the city, you're wasting it.
Yeah, that's how it should be anyway.
And Greg was like, do you have a theological background? I said, well, I moved that theology and I've learned how to do it. I said, but no, I'm not. I'm still learning. I don't know what it is. So he said, well, let's talk on a more regular basis. I said, you know what? Bring a hat, wear a t-shirt, join me in Concord.
Okay, yeah.
And so he's like, I saw that. I showed him that letter.
That thing is going to pass.
So the mayor was like, we're bringing the whole county.
Well, if Concord is great, then you can say his heart Concord see that Lurie wants to do that. Lurie isn't religious and wants to do it.
She goes to New Hope Church only because the state goes there.
Okay, all right.
So she was all around. And she gets restored to do all the cleanup projects. Yeah. She goes, you know what? Churches all day long. But those people that are rebuilding their lives, they're all in. They never leave the door.
Yeah. But Restore has such good church company. All
right. All right. I'll
Take it easy.
Thanks, man.
Hi, I'm Rick. I'm a friend of Ted's. I was late here because I showed up at a different place, but I was also came in at the last minute when you were with Dave Ockburn
At the NCS.
Yeah. But anyway, so I'm not usually late. Anyway, Ted wanted us to meet. He said that you were a core part of his team. I've known Ted for many years, and he recruited me. And I said,
So where's home for you?
Concord.
Oh, really? So I just moved into Concord. Okay. So I moved right on Clinton Road. I've been absent for 30 years. I was born and raised.
Well, I mean, I'm originally from Southern California, then a slight detour to New Jersey, where my wife is from. Clayton Valley Church.
Okay, which is near,
which is
high school or is it
it's off of Michigan. So if you go down Ignacio Valley Road, you're going to eventually come to a stoplight which is called Michigan Boulevard.
Okay.
And it's
so Cal Road hits Ignacio at the top of the hill.
Yeah.
It's down lower.
No, if you go Cowell Road and take a left onto Ignacio.
Okay, the left on Ignacio. So like we're going towards Pittsburgh.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. So continue on Ignacio Valley. Eventually, if you hit Clayton Road, you've gone too far.
Oh yeah, that's what I meant. Ignacio. You're right. Okay, so there's the street that goes to the high school, the charter high school, and then off to the right. And I think it's the next residential one. Yeah, so it's in between the strip mall and the turn. It's kind of on that turn.
Exactly.
Yeah. I had a car catch on fire right there. It was awesome during the Super Bowl.
Oh, maybe.
My girlfriend at the time, now wife, but we were at the halftime of the very first 49er Super Bowl. We were trying to go from one house to the other. The Concord Fire Department comes out. Her little bug caught on fire. I said, hey, get out of the car. Engine looks like it's on fire. They come out. They're like, I can't believe you guys are driving during the Super Bowl. They put the thing out like, you're on your own. See ya. So we're like staring at this car going. The tow truck's like, I'll see you after the game. So I was like, we should just go over into Sizzler and just watch the end of the game. So you put the flashers on. So she grew up out there. There's a street as long as you keep going past Clayton Road.
Yeah.
I think it's Olivera. Not Olivera, is it? Anyways, there's Donaldson Court, which is a little street, but that's where her family lived when her dad was a pastor. He was killed by a drunk driver. Somebody's making a movie, big screen movie that'll launch next year about the family. Because that little family of 4 boys and 1 girl, mom's in the hospital for over a year. All 3 of the boys have grown up to be CEOs. One of them is working in the White House. One of them is the CEO of Convoy of Hope, which is the 27th largest nonprofit. The Convoy of Hope was born in Concord. And their very first office was down in Monument. So it's kind of an interesting. All right. Wait. Open the table. What's your organization? Altar table? Okay.
I don't.
Where's home for you?
San Francisco.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
I
so-
just came by to stop by and check things out.